Rogers Arena in Vancouver, the second of a 6-game homestand for the Canucks. The Buffalo Sabres in town, and Vancouver doesn't want to be the team that sees the Sabres streak in. Starting goalies brought to you by Tim Hortons, the official coffee of the NHL. Tonight a first in the goaltending department. First start for Matt Hackett of the Sabres since April 12th of last season. That's when he suffered a serious knee injury in a game against Boston. And the first time Sabres all-time wins leader Ryan Miller has ever faced his former team. Spent over a decade in Buffalo, won a Vezina there in 2010. Tyler Myers left last night's game in Edmonton briefly after blocking a shot. Might that be an underlying reason why they have 7 defensemen in? Kevin Bieksa still out, second game missed. He'll be out a while. Frank Corrado plays again for Vancouver, paired with Dan Hamhuis to start this one here tonight. And Corrado, after a puck deep in his own zone to start, Henrik Sedin comes back to help out. Drops to Corrado, who passes near side to Hamhuis. 7 defensemen for the Sabres. If you missed Dan Murphy earlier, Cody Hodgson is out, and now we have Henrik Sedin down. Went down just at the Sabres blue line and has been prone ever since, and this does not look good.
No,
John.
and the referees did not see what happened to Henrik Sedin.
Nor did I until he was down and just slid about 30 feet into the Buffalo zone in that same position.
Well away from the play. Henrik starts the play. Oh, he gets high stick right there. The one hand spin around high stick right in the face. And the 4 officials on the ice, nobody saw it.
The linesman at center is talking to referee Brian Pochmara. And I don't know if linesman Brian Pancic saw what happened in the neutral zone, but Henrik Sedin shaken up.
And you can see now the Canuck bench is coming over.
They've no doubt had word from above what happened.
And to add insult to injury, the faceoff's going to come all the way back down on an icing call.
Henrik just now trying to get to his feet. We're just 20 seconds into this hockey game, and the Canuck captain in some distress.
Mike Bernstein helping Henrik off the ice.
We saw Derek Dorsett have to leave last game after taking a knock to the head from Ryan Kessler. And you worry about similar circumstances surrounding Henrik Sedin here.
Well, that was a shot from the Skycam, John, and it showed it. The one-hand careless use of the stick that caught Henrik in the mouth.
He's going to head to the dressing room as play will resume in the Vancouver zone. And Dan Murphy, Irfan Gaffar, both around the Vancouver dressing room. We'll endeavor to get an update from them. Nick Bonino comes out to take Henrik Sedin's spot between Radim Vrbata and Daniel Sedin. And Bonino after the puck in the Buffalo zone. Behind the net to Daniel. Tyler Myers is on him. Daniel works his way to the right wing corner. Back to Chris Tannen. And here's a shot by Hamhuis that deflects wide of the goal. Zemgus Girgensons gets the puck around. It's sent ahead for Ennis. Now deflects back, and we have a penalty in the neutral zone. Ennis and Hamhuis got together in a high sticking call here. Will put Vancouver on the power play.
There's a high stick. Ennis is a little short guy, and I think he thought Dan Hamhuis was going to step up, so to protect himself, he got his stick up, and Dan didn't. And Ennis' stick got Hamhuis high.
.54 seconds in, the Canucks get the first man advantage of the hockey game, and they are endeavoring to return it to being an advantage. The Canucks 2 for their last 20. And both those goals came in the same game in Philadelphia on the road trip when they went 2 for 3 against the Flyers. The Canucks start with the second unit. Puck sent in, now played right back out. And Hamhuis goes back. And the Buffalo net is being dislodged. You see Matt Hackett there. So the whistle blows, allowing us to tell you that the Canucks power play is brought to you by Subway. Enter for your chance to win the Subway road trip of a lifetime.
Well, John, this power play started off like too many of the Canucks power plays lately. A face-off loss, and Hackett goes back. In comes Tyler Myers, the big guy, just knocks it off.
Fans reacting because of that. Henrik Sedin is back. Getting word that it may have been around the throat but that stick caught him. And maybe was struggling for air for a wee bit there, but he made a quick trip to the dressing room, is back out to help quarterback this Vancouver power play. Edler has the puck at the blue line. Here's Henrik Sedin on the right wing. Henrik into the face-off circle, looking across. Bonino towards the goal, hit the post, and the puck ricochets out of play. Nick Bonino trying to go short side on Hackett, beat him, but not the goalpost, and it stays scoreless.
And that's what the Canucks have been trying to do. And Nick Bonino on the power play now. He's a left-hand shot, and that's a disadvantage when you're coming in angle-wise. But he makes a great shot on Hackett, but not the post.
Bonino replacing Alex Burrows on this unit. There's a shot by Edler, steered aside by Hackett. Bonino at the left point to Edler, one-timer, and that was blocked well before it got through. Henrik Sedin from the corner. Now to the blue line, here's Edler. 45 seconds to go on the power play. Bonino with an ill-advised pass there, and the Sabres intercept and clear the zone. Buffalo's penalty killing ranked 29th in the NHL. Only the New York Islanders have a worse percentage. And we have a too many men on the ice call against the Canucks here, who clearly have 6 skaters out there, and that'll end the power play. No doubt about that.
They still have 6.
Canucks lead the league in this category. It has been a bit of a bane of their existence, if you will.
Well, new coaching staff is part of it, but when you realign your power play, and you can see here is the change, and 3 guys come off and only 2 go to the bench.
So it'll be 4-on-4 for just over 30 seconds. And Lucas Sbisa, who's celebrating his 25th birthday today, rushes the puck to the Buffalo line. Checked there, and that put the play offside. And another whistle with 21 seconds to go in the 4-on-4.
Lucas Sbisa, another one of the things the Canucks are looking for, a little more offense from their defense. They're having problems scoring goals. They'd like to get their defensemen more involved, and Sbisa is one of the guys who likes to jump up into the plays, got a good shot.
That was the 11th bench minor of the season for the Canucks. And that's 3 more than any other team. Ottawa and Pittsburgh both have 8. But Sabres offside now as Ristolainen brought the puck in.
Anything in common with those other 2 teams?
New coaches?
New coaches. That's it.
I'm not throwing the coaches under the bus.
Well, I think it's just a natural. And Ted Nolan, he's been here now and going through the trials and tribulations with this Buffalo Sabres team, and they've got a young defense. Their goaltending has been spotty. Enroth was good for about 3 weeks, and the Sabres rattled off some wins.
Sabres are onto the power play now as Ennis steps out of the box. And what you have here, folks, is the 30th ranked power play in the NHL against the #1 penalty killer. Is that a jinx? Because apparently if you throw out statistics,
yes,
it's a jinx.
It is a jinx.
Myers risks the puck in from center. Minutes to go on the Buffalo power play. Girgensons digging for the puck, comes behind the net to Chris Stewart. Blue line feed, Myers fakes the shot, left point pass. Sabres send it down the boards. That's Zadorov, number 51. He's the 7th defenseman dressed in the absence of Cody Hodgson, who was scratched from this game. Pass to the blue line. Zadorov puts one towards the side of the goal. Ennis was there. Edler moves to check him. Now Ennis from behind the goal. Tyler Ennis gets it to Zadorov. He hit the post as well. Just like Bonino on the Vancouver power play, Zadorov sticks side on Miller, but it hit the iron. Girgensons trying to force the puck in front now. Ennis with a shot. Rebound. Stewart scores. Chris Stewart on the 3rd attempt. And the Sabres, with the power play goal, make it 1-0. I know.
I'm not saying anything. The Canucks leave Stewart in behind. Chris Tanev gets out a little too high, and Stewart has 3 cracks. Alex Edler in the corner. And Chris Tanev now loses Stewart as he is down deep, and he not only has the original rebound, but has time to pull it to his forehand and get it up and over Ryan Miller's pad.
4 minutes of the first period, the time of the opening goal. And the Canucks surrender the first goal of the game again. Had been very good in that department for the longest of times, but that's the third game in a row they've been scored on first. Here's Daniel Sedin moving it. Walks the line, backhands one towards the front, cleared to the side by Myers. And Nicolas Deslauriers starts out, flipping the puck into the Vancouver zone. This will be icing, as Spiza's ahead of Drew Stafford in the race.
You can see Edler and Tanev get out a little too high, and here's Alex Edler. Okay, the puck's in the corner, and now Edler chases, and Chris Tanev loses Chris Stewart, who's in behind him. And he's the danger man, and the danger man puts it away.
Saw the emotion on the face of Chris Stewart. Sabres coming into this one having lost 13 consecutive games in regulation. Face-off win by the Canucks and a shot by Corrado steered away by Matt Hackett. Hackett, the nephew of former NHLer Jeff Hackett. Brian Flynn in the Vancouver zone after a loose puck. Deslauriers centers. Here's Stafford. Couldn't get a shot away. But Meszaros lets one fly. Knocked down in front. Cleared ahead and brought out by Zach Kassian.
That hit Frankie Corrado, who hobbles to the bench.
Kassian, a former 13th overall pick of the Buffalo Sabres, works the puck into the Buffalo zone. You see Ronald Kennens, number 41 for Vancouver, in his NHL debut. Played a preseason game here against the San Jose Sharks in September. And out there on this line. And he's after the puck on the far side, down for Tanev, who puts one towards the goal. Sabres intercept, and Brian Gionta gets the puck out. Deslauriers at the end of his shift dumps it in, and back goes Dan Hughes. Gets a return feed from Chris Tanev. Now Bonino dumps one ahead, and this will be icing against the Canucks as Zadorov is ahead of Sean Matthias.
Canucks hockey. Brought to you by Subway. Enter for your chance to win the Subway road trip of a lifetime. Subway, eat fresh.
Sabres scored first last night in Edmonton. Tyler Myers got the first goal of that game.
And as much as Buffalo came in with the last-ranked power play in the NHL, that's a power play goal for the Sabres in 4 of their last 5 games. So the Canucks not the only team victimized of late by Buffalo, but everyone else has been able to overcome surrendering a power play goal and come back to beat the Sabres. Here's Bonino trying to get one in deep for Yannick Hansen. Zadorov intercepts, clears the puck around and out, and Yannick Weber tracks back for Vancouver. Just past the 6-minute mark, first period. 1-0 Buffalo. Sabres scoring on what's been credited as their only shot. Now a chance in front for Matthias. What a stop by Hackett. Matthias looked like he had half the net and somehow failed to put that one home. Now a penalty coming up for the Canucks. Delayed call. Myers in on goal. He shoots and Miller the save. Rebound cleared to center. Play still alive as the Canucks never corralled the puck. Hackett to the bench for the extra attacker on the delayed penalty call versus the Canucks.
Yannick Weber is going to get a slashing penalty.
What a chance for Matthias just before Weber was flagged for the infraction. And now the whistle will blow. Weber to the box. Matthias likely still shaking his head. What an opportunity for him on the doorstep, set up by Yannick Hansen, but it stays 1-0.
This period brought to you by the bold new 2015 Toyota Camry. One bold choice leads to another.
When the stick breaks, it's almost an automatic, and here's Yannick Weber, the slash on Ennis's stick. It's broken right in half, so he's off for slashing. Look at this save. Remember the shutout of Frederik Andersen the other night, John, and I was asking you, can you remember one great save? Well, there's one already in this one.
Sabres 1-for-1 on the power play. Looking for the 2-0 lead. Myers has the puck on the far side. Stewart trying to jam one on goal, grabbed by Miller. And now Spiza and Stewart are into the side of the goal.
Chris Stewart is an interesting situation for the Buffalo Sabres and Tim Murray. His contract's up at the end of the year. Lots of teams would like the big body. He hasn't played real well this year, but you wonder if a lot of it has to do with the attitude of losing that the Sabres have had. And come trade deadline, I think there'll be lots of offers for Chris Stewart.
He's had some fire in the belly to start this game. You saw his reaction after the goal. You saw his reaction after that last whistle. And you saw him paying some lip service on the faceoff. Here's Zadorov on the line. Girgensons takes the pass, fires down to the corner for Tyler Ennis. Ennis towards the goal, knocked away. Bo Horvat makes no mistake, gets the puck out. He'll chase after it. Try to force the Sabres deep, takes Zadorov down, loses his stick. And the Sabres retake possession of the puck. Turned over at center, cleared down by Tanev. And Buffalo will start from its own zone with 1:10 to go in the man advantage. That goal Buffalo scored on the power play, the 15th this year. And the Sabres have surrendered 8 shorthanded goals, so not too high in the plus column in terms of goals for and against, but they get one to take the 1-0 lead, and they're into the Vancouver zone again. Edler intercepts, clears the puck around, held in by Mazzaros. Here's Ristolainen, down the boards for Brian Flynn. Being watched by Tanev, Drew Stafford takes the pass. Hit Hansen as he tried to feed the blue line, and now Tanev gets the puck outside to center. 30 seconds to go on the power play. Rasmus Ristolainen back in. Matt Moulson had that one knocked away. Edler checked as he tried to get the puck out, but now it's to center. And taken back by Matt Moulson. Thrown ahead, backhanded in by Flynn. 12 seconds to go on the Vancouver penalty to Weber. And Spiza gets the puck ahead towards Nick Bonino. Here's Delorean with a drop pass. And a shot on goal, handled by Miller. Weber's out of the box. Canucks back to full strength. Buffalo 1 for 2 on the power play. 1-0. We're 9 minutes into the first period. And here comes Alex Burrows to Nick Bonino. Shades left with a wrist shot attempt. That's blocked. And back comes Patrick Kaleta for Buffalo. All by himself. He dumps the puck in deep. Frank Corrado to Henrik Sedin, ahead for Radim Vrbata. He missed the puck, but it's onto the stick of Daniel Sedin. Daniel drops for Henrik. Throws on the brakes. Here's Corrado with a blast. He missed the net. Daniel Sedin tried to get it around for Henrik. That was cut off, and the puck sent ahead by Torrey Mitchell. And this will be an icing call. Torrey Mitchell, like Lucas Spiza, celebrating a birthday today. Here's Murph.
John, breaking the action, we'd like to remind people to play Safeway's $1 million score and win. If any Vancouver player scores 5 goals in tonight's game, Carl Sheffer of North Van could win $1 million.
And you're celebrating a birthday tomorrow.
Oh, shush.
Shush. Yeah, shush. Oh, you're at that age, are you?
Here's Torrey Mitchell, who's 30 today. Lucas Spiza turning 25.
Torrey Mitchell is another contract that's up at the end of the year.
Loses his face-off to Daniel Sedin in place of Henrik, but the Sabres are onto the puck. And Myers gets it ahead, taken by Alex Edler, who upended Brian Giunta just before coming up with the puck. Turning back is Radim Vrbata. Edler takes his pass. Back towards Vrbata. Into the Buffalo zone, Daniel Sedin. First one on goal into the glove of Hackett. And he hangs on for the whistle.
John, you talked about that knee injury last year. Matt Hackett has only played 3 games in the American League this year. And Michael Neuvert has had a series of injuries this year, so Hackett's been kind of a third goalie with the Sabres, and now he gets a chance. Enroth, they say, is looking a little tired. That 13-game losing streak, that'll do it to you.
Bo Horvat on the face-off. Cassian onto the puck. Here's Kennens. He missed the pass. And Chris Stewart comes up with the puck. Around for Ristolainen. Tyler Ennis bobbled the puck. Canucks hold it in the zone. Cassian a little slow to move to it, but he gets to the puck. Centers. Here's Horvat trying to tip it around Ristolainen, and that didn't work. Rasmus Ristolainen again. Zadorov takes his pass, retreats a bit before handing the puck to Edler at center. Alex Edler stripped of the puck. Here comes Girgensons in with a wrist shot. A right pad saved by Miller. Canucks clear the zone. Sabres changing. Mike Weber gets the puck. Ennis takes his pass and lifts one ahead. Leaping is Weber to knock it down, and he finds Alex Burrows. Burrows plays the puck to the corner, chases after himself, hits Weber. Here's Lyndon Vay. Behind the net for Burrows. Tried a blue line feed. That was intercepted, and Drew Stafford starts back for Buffalo, wristing the puck hard around to the far side. 9 minutes to go in the first. 1-0 Buffalo on a power play goal by Stewart. Weber can't get it out. Deslauriers to the corner. Flynn puts one in front. Intercepting is Chris Higgins. And Higgins carries forward for Vancouver. To Lyndon Bay, who chops the puck into the Buffalo zone. Hackett out of his net. Comes near side to Mazzaros. He reverses for Weber, who goes back the other way, and Stafford has room to move. Bonino onto the ice and onto the puck with a pass to Frank Corrado. Dan Hamhuis backhands the puck in. Tyler Myers starts from behind his goal. 10th in the NHL in average ice time is Myers. And he's playing give and go on this one, dumping the puck around for Gionta. Brian Gionta check. Corrado banks the puck towards Hansen. Rink wide pass, a good one to Matthias. Into the Buffalo zone, nice move, and on goal, a poke check by Hackett. As Matthias had another good-looking chance there. But the goaltender read the play well. Earlier, he stoned Matthias on a close-in shot. This time, he was the aggressor with the stick.
Ronald Kennens on your right, and looking across the ice, see some familiar faces, of course, with the Sabres. There's fellow countryman Zegmas Girgensons, and then Ted Nolan, of course, coached the national team in Latvia. You see Kennens in front. Nolan very complimentary of Kennens this morning, calling him a player that could really fit in the National Hockey League, of course, in Sochi. Latvia winning a game over Switzerland, and Kennens making his National Hockey League debut tonight said is more special because Nolan was on the other bench.
Willie Desjardins full of praise as well from what he saw of Kennens in training camp in the preseason. And with the injury to Derek Dorsett, the call went to Utica, and number 41 is in the Vancouver lineup tonight.
And you say, I want a Derek Dorsett type player. So, get rolling again.
Here's Henriksen. Pass went across, deflected on goal. Hackett reacted, they're jamming away, and they're in the crease, still loose, and the whistle finally blows. That puck pinballed its way towards the goal line, and Hackett reacting with the right pad, able to hold it out.
And the Canucks just couldn't find it quickly enough. Jeff Hackett's been very good here early in this game. Right pad save. And Matt Hackett, with that right pad down, makes the save.
Also being very good. Bo Horvat out for this face-off. Kennens gets the puck to the blue line. Spiza to Ronalds. Kennens. Spiza again, wrist one through traffic. Horvat after the rebound. And Torrey Mitchell gets the puck ahead. Gionta clears to center. 7 minutes to go in the first. Matt Molson for Mitchell. Broken up by Weber. Sabres retake control at center. Ristolainen passes across to Zadorov. Here's Molson to Gionta. Centering pass, and Brian Flynn going to the net of the check of Weber. Couldn't get his stick on it. Flynn from behind the goal. Leaves for Molson. Centering pass, and Stafford misfired on that one. Another good chance for Buffalo in a prime scoring opportunity, or spot on the ice.
Prime area, that's for sure. He just banned on it.
Deslauriers flips the puck off the glass and chases in on Frank Corrado. Hamhuis gets the puck to Alex Burrows. Burrows through center. Plays the puck in. Higgins just able to stay onside. Lyndon Bay on the forecheck. Puck sent around. Corrado moves down for the right point. Bay from the corner. In for Burrows. Working on Weber. Now Bay collects the puck. Lyndon Bay tried to pass for Higgins. Had his stick checked. Sabres intercept, and Deslauriers gets the puck deep into the Vancouver zone. Hamhuis will try to quick up to Higgins, but it went off his skate. And the Sabres take possession deep in their own zone. Josh Georges around for Stewart, who tips the puck to center. Edler has control over Vancouver. Onto the ice is Sean Matthias, who's been prominent again with the Canucks unable to score. And has that ever been a story here at Rogers Arena? Better than the equivalent of 3 entire hockey games the Canucks have gone without scoring in this building. And they'll think about it as we step aside with just over 5 minutes to go in the first. Buffalo with a power play goal, and Willie Desjardins' team is down 1.
Are you looking to make your Super Bowl Sunday even better? The Canucks are taking on the Wild this Sunday in an early game at Rogers Arena. Puck drops at 12. Come cheer on the Canucks before you cheer on the Seahawks, and I guess Patriots fans are welcome too. Visit Canucks.com/tickets to buy now.
The Wild are already in town. I got a text from Tom Reed. He's watching the game, scouting.
Ah, yes. On the back of a napkin. It's symbolic that they moved the start time half hour. And there are a lot of 12s in this city. We've seen some 12 flags in the crowd tonight. The Seahawks and Patriots go at it on Sunday from Glendale. Here it's 1-0 Buffalo. Danielson from behind the Sabres goal. Drops for Henrik. He's checked. Edler moves down from the left point. Hit by Coletta as he sends the puck behind the goal. Danielson finds some room. Back towards Edler. Slaps one towards the goal. That was blocked by Coletta, who's a little shaken up heading to the Sabres bench. Verbata takes the quick up down the left wing. Shoots. Hack at the save. Rebound clear to the side. Verbata again. Down for Henrik Sedin. Puck squirts towards the middle. Sabres get it ahead. Here comes Giunta to the Vancouver line. This is a delayed offside, and they'll blow it down, allowing us to check in with Murph.
Canucks, as you would expect, most of them Seahawks fans, and they're 12s. They got behind the Seahawks, signed the 12 flag. It's a good thing Kevin BX is right-handed, not left-handed, and that flag is on its way to Arizona for Super Bowl Sunday. John.
You'll have your Russell Wilson sweater on, I know.
I will. Maybe not during the game. I mean this game, the Canuck game, Minnesota Wild. Sean Matthias stripped of the puck as he tried to move through center. Weber beats Hansen to it, and Molson takes control with a lead feed to Giunta. Puts one on goal, gloved by Miller, who thought about keeping the puck alive, but instead he'll take the whistle.
Get ready for game time with over 100 menu items. Order now at bostonpizza.com for delivery.
4 minutes to go in the first. 4 minutes of the first was the time of the only goal of this game. Chris Stewart on a Buffalo power play. Nick Bonino against Brian Flynn on this face-off. Puck came right towards Spiza, who's going to get a penalty here. Trying to bat that puck forward, he put it right over the glass, and Lucas Spiza.
And now they're talking about it.
Pretty sure he's going to get 2 for delay of game here. They're discussing. It looked pretty clear to me. I mean, it wasn't on purpose, but
no. And he had his stick being hooked at that time, so
they're going to let him get away with it.
Yes.
Wow.
His stick was being hooked.
Is that part of the rule?
That's part of the rule.
Really? I call balderdash.
No, I'm selling that one because as he played the puck, you can watch, he gets his stick hooked right there. And you can see it wasn't his direct action that got the puck out. Drew Stafford was, and you can see Ted Nolan doesn't like the call. He's in your camp on that one.
I've never heard it explained that way, but I do stand to be corrected.
We'll phone up Robbie Schick during the intermission, and he'll fill us in. I'm sure he will agree with me.
Stays 1-0 Buffalo, stays full strength. There's a pass from Matthias, from Henson gets by in, and Drew Stafford carries forward for the Sabres. Matthias intercepts. Chips one ahead for Hansen to go after. Icing waved off as Hansen moves in on Weber. Canucks changing in the neutral zone as Mazzaro starts out with the puck. The former Vancouver Giant with a pass ahead to Delorier. Stafford takes his feed and risks the puck into the Vancouver zone. Handhuse to center, Ristolainen intercepts. And here's Zadorov for Buffalo. Onto the right wing. Ennis couldn't take that one cleanly. A little scrambly right now. Not a lot of passes being completed. Vey has the puck. Cross for Burrows, and nicely to Higgins, who's down the left wing. Chris Higgins stops in the corner, works his way back up the boards. Here's Hamhuis with a weak shot attempt. And the Sabres get the puck ahead and out. It's off the stick of Corrado and into the Buffalo bench. Maybe Murph has an opinion on the last no-delay play.
Well, I do, but I won't get into it. More on Chris Higgins as he struggled mightily to score, and people wondering what it would take to move him down the lineup. Coach Willie Desjardins says he's their hardest worker game in, game out. He's the first guy over the boards on the penalty kill. Yes, they want him to score more, but they don't want him to cheat defensively to try to create that offense. They are sure that some of these shots will go in as he's produced a few more shots in the last few games, John.
12 without, 7 goals in his last 66 if you date back to last year. So it's been a struggle, but there's so many other things the coaches like about Chris Higgins' game. The defensive side of the puck, penalty killing.
Effort on the forecheck. He's always in and creating havoc in the offensive zone. But like a lot of the Canucks, just snake bit around the goal.
I wasn't there in his year in New York, but it sounds very similar to what John Tortorella described. He called him one of his best players that year, but just could not score to save himself. Sedin's and Verbata out with 2.5 to go in the first. Henrik Sedin against Molson on the draw. Puck towards the slot. Verbata trying to come up with it. Being hooked by Zadorov. Puck center out near side. Edler moved down aggressively from the blue line, but the Sabres get the puck out. Tanev has it at his own line. Edler up to Daniel Sedin. Touch pass to Henrik, who tried to go across to Verbata. That was broken up. Miller's going to come out and play this puck. And he gets it to Henrik Sedin. Henrik lifts the puck in from center. Back goes Tyler Myers. Lost control of the puck, taken away by Verbata. To Tanev. In deep for Henrik Sedin. Along the inboards to Daniel. Finds Henrik again. Try to go behind the net for Verbata, who chases after the puck on the near side. Runs into Giunta. Daniel Sedin gets the puck back towards Edler and in deep for Henrik Sedin. Henrik to Daniel. Nothing on goal. Good control. Puck centered by Daniel. Blocked by Myers. Daniel gets it again. Bank pass. Tanev. Here's Edler with room. Slap shot. And that hit a skate in front. I think Flynn in front of his goaltender blocked the shot. Good zone time there, but Hackett never tested. And now 1:20 to go in the first period. Shots are 8-7 Buffalo. Score is 1-0. And Flynn deflects the puck into the Vancouver zone. No icing as Yannick Weber goes back for the puck. Cole Horvat to Zach Kassian. Horvat put him in a tough spot, and the puck stays in the Vancouver zone. Kennens blocks a pass and now comes up with the puck at his own blue line. Ronalds Kennens with a pass across to Weber. Look out, stick handling in traffic, able to get the puck to Horvat, who slams it into the Buffalo zone. Final minute, first period. Hackett can't get it by Kennens, who tries to center. Horvat in trying to help him out. Corrado moves down from the right point, and the puck is onto the stick of Zadorov, who finds Ristolainen. Hamhuis holds it in. Kassian in the high slot. Nice move. Here's Horvat, centers. Matthias, another chance, and a right toe save by Hackett. Here's Kassian, rebound. Horvat robbed by Hackett. Loose puck, it's in. Bo Horvat ties the game at 1. How do you spell relief? Bo Horvat with a goal at Rogers Arena. The drought is over, and the game is even.
Matt Hackett couldn't have done much more for the Buffalo Sabres. There's the first miss by Matthias. I don't think he stopped that one, John, but this one he does. And he stops 2 in tight, and then Bo Horvat finds it before any of the Sabres can. Hackett off his stick again, much like the save he made on Bonino. Desperation with the stick, he stops it, but he can't find the rebound. Nice play by Kassian, brings the puck to the net. Horvat robbed, and then finds the puck first.
195 minutes and 58 seconds of goalless hockey for the Canucks at Rogers Arena comes to an end. They were closing in on 200 minutes, John, but Bo Horvat in the final minute of the first. And the Canucks, a huge sigh of relief, pulling even with Buffalo late in the opening period. Kassian and Matthias the assists. And a whistle now with 5 seconds to go in the period. A little rough stuff here. Stewart comes into the pile. And he's paired off with Jannik Hansen as everybody mills about just inside the Buffalo blue line.
Well, late offside. Nick Bonino reached back. He tried to keep it outside the blue line. David Brisebois thought it was offside. And a late hit by Weber on Bonino, and that created all the... There's the offside, and Weber hits Bonino, and Chris Stewart came in. Chris Stewart, as you said, he's got the fire in the belly in this one.
Period comes to an end. All even at 1. Stewart for the Sabres, and then Bo Horvat.
This period brought to you by the bold new 2015 Toyota Camry. One bold choice leads to another.
A sense of relief at Rogers Arena, as we said. Brad, I think I was off by a second. 195 minutes and 57 seconds, I think, is the accurate tally. But the drought is over, Mr. Fay, and the Canucks are all even here with Buffalo.
Welcome back, everybody, to Vancouver. 1-1 after 20 minutes of play. There is a new Vancouver Canuck in town. Made his NHL debut back on November the 20th. Scored on his second career shift. Good start. Traded to Vancouver last night for Gustav Forsling. We welcome Adam Clendening. And your first thoughts of being traded here and arriving here about 4 o'clock today?
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. Got here, see the good fan base here just now, and had to go through a couple of things with the docs and meet the equipment staff and some of the guys, so just excited to get started.
Were you surprised being dealt after, being groomed by the Blackhawks organization?
A little bit. Yeah, I was actually eating dinner last night, preparing for my game in the American League, and then got a phone call and told I had to be on the flight in the morning, so a little bit of a whirlwind, yeah.
You look at your numbers, obviously the offensive game is strong. Is that what you intend to bring to this Canucks organization?
Try and bring an all-around game. I've really worked on my defense over the past year or so, year and a half, and if the offense comes, great. But I mean, my primary job is to get on my own end clean and then let my instincts take over from there. Welcome to Vancouver, and we look forward to seeing you on ice soon. Alrighty, thank you.
Right-hand shot, John, a power play specialist. Led the Ice Hawks in points 2 years in a row.
Canucks are on the power play to start the second period. You saw Andre Mazzaros there. He's off for hooking, a call that came at the 20-minute mark of the first. So second power play chance for the Canucks, who failed on their first, and will try to take their first lead here to begin period number 2. Daniel Sedin rifles the puck in from center. Henrik after it on the near side. Checked by Josh Georges, but the Canucks get control of the puck. Daniel back to Nick Bonino. Bonino hit the post on that first period power play for the Canucks. Now Henrik bobbles the puck on the near side. Cleared to the line, held in by the right foot of Alex Edler, but now brought out by Zemgus Girgensons. He's got a couple shorthanded goals this year. Hands the puck to Bonino, and the Canucks will try to move back up ice. Edler to Henrik Sedin. Gets around Benoit and dumps the puck near side for Daniel. Canucks set up. Henrik from the corner. Finds Daniel Sedin. Back to Edler. Bonino at the left point. Had to take it on the backhand. Now shovels the puck to Edler. Over to Daniel Sedin. Goal line feed. Henrik tried to drag it to the crease. Couldn't get a shot on goal. And the Sabres hammer the puck off the stick of Edler and out to center. Canucks try to work it quickly ahead. Henrik tags up. Daniel moves in. Drop pass for Henrik Sedin. Broken up by Giunta. Henrik holds the puck in. Here's Daniel at the side. A crossover battle. Pass too hot to handle, and Giunta comes back shorthanded for Buffalo. In on the right wing, trying to find Flynn in front. The puck got by him. And the Canucks will change up the power play personnel with 30 seconds to go in the penalty to Andre Mazzaros. What did I do wrong?
Nothing.
Oh.
I was just saying they're changing up the power play with 30 seconds left and the puck in the defensive zone.
Here's a chance for Weber. He shoots, he scores. 12 of the 30 seconds. Weber sneaking in, took the pass, and the Canucks lead 2-1.
Well, scoring on the rush. And on the power play, you see Ted Nolan shaking his head. I think that hit Matt Ellis's stick on the way in. Lyndon Bay, good head of speed. It backs everybody off the blue line. Weber jumps up into the play, right-hand shot, and Ellis diving across, trying to block it. Gets a piece of it. And it's just in the corner.
Yannick Weber has his 4th assist to Higgins and Bay. A power play goal for the Canucks. They're 1 for 2, and they lead 2-1. Now they're into the offensive zone again. Bay turning in the corner. Lyndon Bay out the near side. Sweeps the puck in front, and Burrows couldn't jam it in from the goal crease. Weber down the left side with a wrist shot blocked. The rebound came right past Higgins as he was moving towards the goal. Bay gets the puck again. Back to Weber, who shoots, just missed. Higgins on the left wing. Works his way behind the goal. Higgins out the near side with a wrist shot over top of the goal. A little blood in the water, perhaps. Canucks sense it as they look to go up by 2. Burrows. Now Higgins from the corner. Ristolainen steps into him, but Higgins shakes free from the check. Canucks changing with the puck in the offensive zone, and Hamhuis sails a shot high and wide. Corrado holds the puck in. Horvat is after it for Vancouver. Now Burrows has been out there a while. Burrows to the left wing corner. Back to Hamhuis. Drags to the middle. Long wrist shot, swallowed up by Hackett. And a much-needed whistle for Buffalo as he hangs on.
One of the reasons that Yannick Weber gets back into the lineup is because he's such a good offensive defenseman. He reads the play so well, sees, bangs the stick a couple of times, gets the pass, and then snaps that wrist shot. It's not how hard, but where. And you can see Matt Ellis sliding across, trying to block it, tips it in his own net.
Horvat wins the face-off for Vancouver. Hamhuis with a wrist shot. That hit a Sabre in front. Torrey Mitchell. Puck to the blue line, swatted out by Molson, and Kassian tries to find Kennins at center. That's broken up. Josh Georges for Buffalo. Up for Molson, who backhands the puck into Vancouver territory. Collision as Hamhuis winds up in the net.
There's going to be a penalty. Brian Gionta is going to go off for interference.
Hamhuis, the slowest to get up. He's back on his feet and making his way to the bench. Miller appears all right.
Here's Gionta just from behind, just cross-checks Van Hamhuis right into Ryan Miller.
Another power play for Vancouver. The Canucks just scored on their second opportunity. Now they go to work on their third. Interference, the call.
Waiting for Ryan Miller to get the water bottle.
And now we're set to go. Sedins and Vrbata with Bonino and Edler. And the Canucks work for possession off the draw. Myers battling Henrik Sedin in the corner. 3 Canucks after this puck against 2 Sabres. Sabres out with it. And Flynn will carry to center and miss the puck into the Vancouver zone. Edler starts out for Vancouver. Plays give and go with Henrik Sedin. Now his pass is off the skate of Deslauriers, and the Canucks are forced deep into their own end. We're 4 minutes into the second. Canucks leading Buffalo 2-1. Trying to get set up on the power play. Now they make it a chance as the puck squirts to Edler at the right point. Henrik Sedin to Daniel Sedin. Edler to Daniel. Curls in front, passes to Henrik at the side. He lifts one towards the crease. Pin on the backhand, scores! Right out of midair, it looked like he swatted that one into the net. The Canucks lead 3-1.
Well, one of the reasons that they have Nick Bonino on the power play is to get that size when he comes in from the blue line. Nick Bonino in front. Daniel takes a hit to create the play. Here comes Bonino. Use that big body, and as you see, John, about 6 inches off the ice, and Matt Hackett has no chance. He's waiting for it to hit the ice, and Bonino scoops it. That makes up for the one that he rattled off the post in the first period.
Nick Bonino has his 11th of the season. And the Canucks are 2 for 3 on the power play with a fast start here to period number 2. You add it all up, John, and they've got 3 goals in under 5 minutes of actual hockey time as they scored in the final minute of the first period and have a couple in the first 4 minutes and change here of period number 2. Both Sedins in on the scoring play. Vancouver's record excellent when that happens as Henrik and Daniel set up the 11th of the year for Bonino. Here comes Chris Tanev leading a rush in. Tanev centers, Day across, and the pass never got through to Higgins, who was sneaking in on the left side. Sabres clear, Spiza back to pick up the puck. Pass up the middle, broken up as Horvat tried to move out. Canucks forced back. Molson after the puck in the corner. Horvat and Spiza are back, so too is Weber. Gianta with a pass towards the front for Girgensons. Weber winds up with the puck, chips it ahead. Kassian doesn't move it out, but able to find Spiza, who has room to skate and makes a play to Yannick Weber. He doesn't like what he sees, so circles back and passes across to Spiza. Yannick Weber through center. Pass to Horvat. Across, tip just wide. Kennins had come onto the ice. Missed the goal in his bid for his first career. Sabres clear the puck off the glass and out. Tanev collects at his own blue line. A little over 6 minutes into the second. 3-1 Vancouver. And the Canucks, you can sense, playing a little looser, John. And an icing call against Buffalo draws a whistle. A couple of score and win winners to tell you about as we get caught up. First, Bo Horvat got the first Canuck goal. A winner from Port Coquitlam, Tammy McPhail from Safeway, and Post Serial. He won a Troy-built single-stage snow thrower. And on the second Canuck goal, courtesy Yannick Weber, also from Safeway and Post Serial, Rebecca McPherson of Quesnel. You've won a Bulova Marine Star watch. Shot from the line, trickled through towards the goal. Now from behind the net, Sean Matthias pulls his way in front, sweeps one on goal, and never got through as Bonino was battling in front with Tyler Myers. Tyler Ennis the other way. Checked. Back comes Jannik Hansen. Plays one to the corner. Matthias chases in on Mazeros. Leaves the puck on the far side. Hansen creates the turnover. Matthias out of midair. But unlike Bonino, he couldn't find the open cage. Sean Matthias continued to get chances game after game. That part he has to feel good about and has to hope eventually one goes in. Nick Bonino did put one in on the power play to make it 3-1. That true produced a winner on score and win for Safeway and Post Serial. Carol Pope of North Vancouver, he won a Bradley Original Electric Smoker. Rough trade.
Sean Matthias going to the net. That's how you get chances. Out of midair, just fired it wide.
Remember rough trade, though? Carol Pope. High school confidential. Am I dating myself?
Yes, you are.
Here's Frank Corrado with a long shot wide. Henrik Sedin. Daniel Sedin centering pass for Rabada that was blocked. Henrik gets the puck behind the goal. Daniel Sedin from the corner. Brings one around. Here's Dan Hamhuis. Keeps the puck deep in the Buffalo zone. Henrik open is Corrado. Pass never came, but Daniel's got some room in front, and the pass for Henrik deflected away. Rabada keeps the puck in. Henrik Sedin from behind the goal. Daniel goes to the front. There's the pass. Hackett winds up with the puck. Sedin's trying to set up a chance in front, but it stays a 2-goal Vancouver lead. Let's check out John Garrett's Fresh Takes, brought to you by Subway. Enter for your chance to win the Subway road trip of a lifetime.
Well, come to the game. It's a rite of passage. Rookie, first NHL game. And here comes Ronald's Cannons. Brian Miller kind of blew it. He came on the ice with him, but Daniel Sedin and the rest of the Canucks sat and watched Cannons skate around. And his first NHL game, he's played pretty well.
Been good on the forecheck. Had a chance on his last shift. He'll watch for now as we swoop into the face-off of Lyndon Bay, trying to win it for Vancouver.
Had 2 hits in the first period, 3.5 minutes.
Icing call here, and there'll be another face-off in the Buffalo zone.
Well, you can see the Ted Nolan and the Buffalo bench just look at their players. A play like that, 2 feet from the red line, and you shoot it in, and you can see Ted Nolan, the frustration building as game after game, and that's just the panic level is very high on this team, and that's just a play where you're not thinking. You have to think the game.
Here's Alex Burrows for Vancouver. Wristing one from a sharp angle right into the crest of Matt Hackett. He hangs on, and we check in with Murph.
John, Chevrolet is committed to safety on the roads as well as on the ice. To find out more about Chevrolet's Safe and Fun hockey program, log on to safeandfun.ca.
Matt Hackett has played pretty well for this Buffalo Sabres team, but they don't score many goals, as everybody knows, and you let a couple in, your special teams are the worst in the league, and Canucks taking advantage.
Face-off win. Cassian tried a shot. That winds up in the corner. Here's Ronald's Cannons battling Ristolainen. Sabres force the puck to center. Edler dumps it back in. Horvat tagging up, so play continues, and Buffalo trying to move out. Zadorov having some trouble, but now the Sabres with control of the puck, and Zadorov steps up to center. Gionta trying to return the puck to him. That didn't work. Molson drops it back to Rasmus Ristolainen. Up ahead for Brian Gionta. Checked by Tanev. Here comes Cassian over the Buffalo line. Cassian down the left. Around the net. At least he tried to get around the net. Ristolainen stepped into him, and the Sabres clear the puck out. Here's Alex Edler. Up for Horvat. He'll start a change by deflecting the puck in behind the Buffalo goal.
Sabres looking for their first shot of this period.
Canucks have had 5. They've scored on 2 of them and lead the game 3-1, 9.5 minutes into the second. And another icing call upcoming for another face-off in the Buffalo zone.
Zach Cassian has an assist in this game, but that's nothing compared to the last time these two teams met. We go back to March 23rd of 2014. Zach with 4 assists in the hockey game. It was a career night for big number 9, and he'd love to replicate against his former team again this evening.
Replicate. Yes, replicate. Nice shot by David Booth on the assist from Zach Cassian on that one.
Face-off win for Bonino. Hansen sets it up for Matthias. His low shot stopped by Hackett. Here's Bonino trying to go over the shoulder. Now it's put to the crease. Matthias jamming away. Stopped by Hackett, and the puck is cleared down the ice. Right on Miller. That might be the first Buffalo shot of the period. Let's see if they give them one. As the Canucks buzz back in. Matthias shades left. Wrist shot. Glove saved by Hackett. And he'll hang on for the whistle. Keep going, Sean. Keep trying.
That's it. That's it. I mean, he's getting a ton of chances and going to the net hard. The Canucks, when you're not scoring, you have to go to the net hard. Nick Bonino gets a rebound. Matt Hackett off the chest. But the Canucks going to the net hard and just can't find it. Matthias is there. He's got his stick all tied up. You see, he thinks his stick was being held. No call.
Canucks work for another puck off the draw in the Buffalo zone, but Benoit has it for the Sabres, and he goes glassing out. Chris Stewart chasing after the puck. Yannick Weber chips it away from him, and Henrik Sedin takes control. Brings one around for Daniel. Tips the puck for Spiza, who's upended by Tyler Myers. Who gets the puck, puts one in front, and that went right through the crease and out the near side. Girgensons in deep for Stewart. His centering pass intercepted. And Verbata gets the puck ahead. Henrik Sedin tips it past Georges. Tries to move in on the forecheck. Ennis took him down. And Tyler Ennis moves out with the puck. Here's Myers onto the right wing. Stewart puts one on goal. Miller steers that to the corner. Ennis is onto the rebound. Runs into Edler behind the goal. He in turn is checked by Deslauriers. But Vrbata able to tip the puck to neutral ice. 9 minutes left in the second. Canucks 3 and the Sabres 1. And a fast-moving second period. It started with a couple of Canuck power plays, and Vancouver cashed in on both. Lincoln Bay behind the net for Chris Higgins. Works his way out the far side. Can't pass. Edler, right point, Tanev. Back towards Edler, and Stafford was right there. Edler forced to retreat, and now Stafford chases in after the loose puck. Drew Stafford in behind. Nicholas Deslauriers. Edler's on him. Vey moves back to intercept. Couldn't get the puck past Stafford, and the Sabres work to set something up in the Vancouver zone. Mazeros with a long drive, and Miller got the stick on it, although I'm not sure he saw that one. Burrows starts from behind his goal, and he'll skate the puck forward. He'll advise. He's checked by Molson. Sabres send it back, but Ristolainen missed the pass. You can hear his reaction to that one. Torrey Mitchell drives the puck back in. Under 8 minutes to go in the second. Here's Giunta spinning, centering. Mitchell stopped by Miller, and then the puck trickled back to the Vancouver goaltender, who covers for the stoppage in play. 7:39 to go in the second, and the Canucks lead by 2. This week on Hockey Night in Canada, 5 choices of nationally televised games. Start your Saturday with Hockey Central Saturday at 3:30. Then it's the Leafs and the Flyers on CBC, Kings and the Bruins on Sportsnet, Stars, Jets on City, all followed by the Oilers and the Flames on CBC at 7, and the Blackhawks and the Sharks on Sportsnet at 7:30. Visit sportsnet.ca/schedule for details. Tonight it's the Canucks and the Sabres, the second of a 6-game homestand for Vancouver. Canucks leading 3-1. Just over 7.5 minutes left, second period. And it feels like a bonanza of goals for Vancouver. After the Canucks went 195 minutes and 57 seconds without scoring at home, they have 3 in succession here against Buffalo.
And 2 on the power.
Offside, they say Bonino just preceded the puck over the line as Hanhus led the 3-man rush in, and the whistle blows.
This Buffalo Sabres team has struggled, but with Ryan Miller, you look at all his accomplishments, conference final twice with Ryan Miller, and that's following Dominik Hasek. And you see the records that Ryan holds with that Buffalo Sabres team and how well he performed.
50 more wins than Hasek. Here's Daniel Sedin trying a shot. He was checked as he let it go. And Hughes, good job to hold the line. Now the loose puck in front, and Hackett able to sweep it away with a goal stick. Georges got high sticked, and he's checking for damage and screaming at the official as play moves up the ice. And I think the back official caught it. So a high sticking call here against the Canucks, and now they'll check Josh Georges for damage.
And Georges is checking for blood. He's going to spit some out.
Henrik Sedin is the guilty party. He was the recipient of an undetected high stick earlier in the game.
And no doubt about that one. He tried to get Josh Georges' stick, missed, caught him in the face.
2-minute minor to Henrik Sedin. And the Sabres, who got their only goal on a power play, get another opportunity here. Buffalo 1 for 2 with a man advantage. Burrows clears the puck down the ice, and Buffalo will start from its own end.
Currently playing 15:05. Henrik Sedin is with for high sticking at 15:05.
Zadorov tries a long pass. Stewart ahead of the race, so Miller plays the puck to the side. Tanev tried to clear, held in by Zadorov. Bonino's lost his stick. He'll retrieve it as the Sabres set up. Ennis missed the pass. Stewart gets the puck on the end boards. Now Tyler Ennis tries to bull his way in front. Pass knocked away by Bonino. And Burrows slides the puck down the ice. Minute 10 to go on the penalty to Henriksen. Myers dumps the puck in. Miller out of his net leaves for Spiza. He clears it around, but Myers is waiting at the line. Zadorov with a wrist shot. Stopped by Miller. Loose puck in front. Winds up behind the goal. Ennis is onto it. He centers. Comes all the way back to the blue line. Zadorov to Brian Flynn. Goal line feed. Stewart sends one across. It deflects in off Handhuse. Cross crease pass intended for Ennis, but it hit the Vancouver defenseman, and the Sabres are within one.
Chris Stewart has been the best player for the Buffalo Sabres. There's no doubt about that. Gets his second power play goal. Down low, he's just trying to throw it across. Stewart's in behind the defense. Dan Hamhuis gets back, trying to block the pass. Goes down, and it's off Dan Hamhuis and in behind Ryan Miller. And swings that left leg around and kicks it in his own net.
Stewart's second of the night, as John mentioned, 9th of the year now. 14-16, the time of the goal that pulls Buffalo back within one. And the Sabres' moribund power play is showing signs of life lately and is 2 of 3 in this hockey game. Ronald's Kennedy after the puck in the Sabres zone. Pizarros broke his stick. He grabbed that of teammate Delorier. And now the Sabres will change as the puck is into the Vancouver zone.
And number 51, Nikita Zadorov. Down to 14-16. Stewart is 9th in the season on the power play.
Dan Hamhuis back out on the ice. Sabres steal the puck behind the goal. Matt Ellis to the blue line. Myers. Round to the near side. Ellis back behind for Coletta. Horvat trying to jar the puck free. Sabres keep after it. And here's Ellis trying to center. That hit Hamhuis. This time deflected the Canucks way. And here comes Horvat for Vancouver. 2-on-2 with Kennens, who takes the pass. Ronald's Kennens with a wrist shot. Stopped by the left hand. Now he centers. Loose puck in front. Here's Kassian moving into the pile, but he couldn't get a shot on goal. Coletta's broken his stick. Spiza centers. Daniel Sedin couldn't handle the hard pass. Coletta's still out there trying to defend without a stick. He's watching Weber, who moves across the blue line with a wrist shot. Glove by Hackett. Then he took a whack from Kassian, who's going to hear about that. Kassian getting mugged in the goal crease after he took a chop at the glove of Hackett following the save on Yannick Weber. Pick it up a bit here. The energy and the score with the Sabres back within one. Safeway's featured participating product for tonight's game is Post Cereal.
Zach Kassian in front of the goaltender, slashing. I thought that might be 2-2. Okay, Zach gets a hit from Hackett. Shot comes in. Hackett's got it, and Kassian and Josh Georges, and then the crowd. And Kassian gets the only penalty.
Beware the Buffalo power play. 2 for 3 in this hockey game. And a chance there. Loose puck in front, chopped on goal by Ennis. Girgensons after the puck behind the net. With the 2 goals in this one, Sabres now have 5 power play goals in their last 5 games. And they're trying to get another one here to pull even. Ennis. Tanev's on him. Stewart to the blue line. Zadorov down for Myers. Sets one up for Girgensons. He's knocked down, and Tanev clears the puck down the ice.
That's penalty killing hasn't been as aggressive as we've seen it.
Here's a chance in front. Stafford deeks. Miller the save with the left pad, and he covers up. You heard Drew Stafford talking about his close relationship with his ex-teammate, who got the better of him right there.
Well, here's Stafford, dances in, goes around Lucas Spiza, and Ryan Miller stayed right with him. Here's the net is off. Gets pushed back on.
Close call there. Stays a 1-goal Vancouver lead. 58 seconds to go on the penalty to Zach Cassian. And Nick Bonino gets the puck and clears it down into Buffalo territory.
Well, that was a good example of the Canucks not being as aggressive as we've seen them. They backed right in, and that allowed Stafford to take that pass and walk around Speeder. Gave up the blue line. They usually attack at the blue line.
Ristolainen onto the right wing. Flynn to Stafford. Fan on his shot attempt. Daniel Sedin winds up with the puck. And he flips it down into Buffalo territory. Henrik jumps over the boards to join his brother. Short-handed, they keep after the puck in the Buffalo zone. 15 seconds to go on the Cassian penalty. 2.5 remaining, second period. Canucks leading 3-2. Daniel breaks up that entry. Here comes Henrik Sedin. Sabres hustling back to try to break this one up. Daniel shoots off the post. Hackett got a big piece of it. It got through it. And off the goalpost to stay a 1-goal Vancouver lead. Cassian's out of the box. Buffalo 2 for 4 on the power play, and the Canucks that close to their 5th shorthanded goal of the year. 2 minutes left in the second. Lyndon Vey deep in his own zone, finds some room in the corner. Ahead to Higgins and back to Vey. Up the right wing, here's Radim Vrbata. Drop pass, Vey. Trying to cut in front, puck deflects back to Corrado. He settles it, passes it over. Hamhuis banks one in behind the goal. Vrbata onto the puck, knocked away, but he gets it again. Vrbata puts it on goal, stopped by Hackett. And Deslauriers gets the puck off the boards and out. Girgensons ahead for Deslauriers. Hamhuis winds up with the puck. Up the left wing. No icing, Hackett out to play it. Up the near side, waiting is Corrado, and he slams one wide of the goal. Hansen in behind. Higgins couldn't come up with the puck again. Corrado holds it in. Higgins from behind the net. Up the left wing boards. Pass knocked away. Now it's off the stick of Corrado and down into the Vancouver zone. Here's Chris Stewart. 3 career hat tricks for Stewart. He's got both Buffalo goals in this one, and we're into the final minute of the second period. Jannik Hansen with a drop pass at center. Sean Mathias moves in, hits him, chopped one well wide as his stick was checked while making contact. Mathias takes on 2 Sabres in the corner. Now Weber at the right point with a shot. That was blocked by Josh Georges. Georges second in the NHL in block shots. He's been top 10 in that category each of the last 3 seasons. And he got another one there. Now Georges after the puck in the corner. Canucks get it. Mathias with a centering pass blocked. Here's Hansen from the corner. Jannik Hansen works his way up the board, spins to get away from Ennis, trying to cut in front. Bonino with a shot, and that went off his stick. Mathias behind the goal. George is on him. Weber moves in deep. Tried to shovel one into the crease. Here's Yannick Weber again. Weber with a long shot over top of the net. That might be the last chance of the period. They'll try to manufacture one more, but Stewart intercepts, and that'll do it. Entertaining period. Canucks get a couple. They almost got another from the Sedins.
Short-handed. The Sabres have given up 8 already, almost 9. Henrik to Daniel. Matt Hackett gets enough. It's underneath his arm off the post.
Yannick Weber, Nick Bonino, the goal scorers in the second. Canucks with the lead by 1 after 2. Stay where you are. The commissioner of the NHL, Gary Bettman, is coming up in conversation with Dan Murphy. 40 minutes done, and the Canucks lead Buffalo 3-2. Getting set for the third period here at Rogers Arena in Vancouver. John Shorthouse, John Garrett, Dan Murphy, Irfan Gaffar, and the Canucks leading by 1 as we head to the third. Scoring summaries brought to you by Panago Pizza. Before, during, or after the game, get a fresh Panago. Power plays ruling today. Stewart with a man advantage made it 1-0. Bo Horvat in the final minute of the first ended that long goal drought for the Canucks in this building. And then 3 power play goals in the second. Weber and Bonino for the Canucks. Stewart with his second of the night, getting Buffalo back to within 1, which is where we stand heading to the third.
Earlier tonight, Drew Stafford coming into the building, and he and Ryan Miller reconnect. Old teammates with the Buffalo Sabres, and it's always hard. And then Ryan Miller, his old buddy. Not this time. Probably saw that move in practice. Time and time again.
You heard Stafford tell Murph pregame how many shots he's taken on Miller in his career. And now we get set for period 3. Our Skycam available on Game Plus, Rogers Game Center for Rogers subscribers. You can live stream that camera exclusively if you wish. Henrik Sedin, Daniel Sedin, Radim Vrbata for the Canucks to start, up against Mitchell, Gionta, and Molson for the Buffalo Sabres. And here's a quick pass to Daniel Sedin to start things off. Vrbata back for Daniel Sedin, blocked by Josh Georges. Canucks move in after the puck. Henrik Sedin to Daniel Sedin. Left point, here's Dan Hamhuis with a wrist shot and an early save for Hackett, who hangs on for the whistle.
Josh Georges with a nice job on Radim Vrbata, making sure that he couldn't get back to tip that wrist shot. George is a valuable asset for this team. They've got so many young defensemen. He's a veteran. John, you talked about all the blocked shots that he has year after year after year. And here's George. Just take your man, take your man, take your man. Comes around to make sure Vrbata doesn't get in front.
Played his 600th career game last night in Edmonton, did Josh Georges. Here comes Tyler Ennis out with the puck. Stewart moving in on Corrado. Daniel Sedin with a good pass ahead to Radim Vrbata. Canucks 19-1-2 and leading after 2 this season. And they're into the Buffalo zone. Vrbata tries to get along the inboards for Henrik Sedin. He's checked by Girgensons. And Weber chips the puck near side towards Tyler Ennis, who's checked by Mathias. Here's Edler loading up, letting one fly. And that felled Girgensons, who took it in the right leg. He'll hobble to the bench, although doesn't seem to be too badly shaken up. Canucks move back in. Mathias. Pass for Edler. He chops one across the slot. Now Hansen takes a swipe at the puck. Can't make contact. And out comes Nicolas Deslauriers over the Vancouver line. Trying to poke the puck past Edler. Couldn't do it. But Edler is hit in the corner by Stafford. And Buffalo tries to come up with a puck. Brian Flynn cycles down for Stafford. And again for Flynn in the corner. Along the end boards, here's Deslauriers. Blue line feed, Ristolainen sends one across, picked off by Tanev. Lead pass, Mathias couldn't knock it down. That'll be icing. As Sean Mathias had designs on a mano-a-mano attempt on Matt Hackett.
Chris Tanev's mad at himself and bangs the boards with his stick. Here's Girgensons. Blocked shot off the shin pad. Here's Chris Tanev. He's got Mathias, and he just throws it, and it's about 8 inches off the ice, and Mathias can't knock it down. Nobody in the lane could have slid that one.
Face-off win for the Sabres. Bonino intercepts, spins to find some room, and passes to Edler. Canucks will complete their change as Edler carries to center and wrists the puck in. Burrows hit solidly along the boards by Georges. Higgins works to hold the puck in, and here's Burrows, bumped again by Georges, but this time Burrows braced himself for it. Mitchell after the puck. Burrows gets it, kind of double clutched. He thought about passing to Spiza. Sabres wind up with the puck. Mitchell ahead for Molson. Weber back for the puck. Weber skates it, thrown in front. Here's Gionta to the line. Mazzaros with a shot, and the left pad saved by Ryan Miller. First shot of the period for Buffalo. Here's Lyndon Bay. Pass ahead. Higgins was offside. Play continues as the Canucks tag up, and Girgensons circles in his own zone. Pass to Tyler Ennis. Another of Willie Desjardins' former Medicine Hat Tigers. Here's Mazzaros to the blue line, sending one in front. Canucks able to knock the puck to the corner. Sent ahead, Kassian. Stick handles in his own zone. Now picks his way to center. Finds some room. Another nice move. Kassian in. Slides the puck to the corner. Kennins is on to Ronalds. Kennins back for Kassian, who had the puck knocked away from him. And the Sabres move out to center with Girgensons backhanding the puck into the Vancouver zone. Zach Cassian, end of his shift, sends one rink wide for Henrik Sedin to chase after. Benoit's back. Oh, his pass at his teammate. Zadorov right in the skate. The puck came right into the goal crease.
Steve Smith. Didn't you think Steve Smith right away?
The stakes weren't quite the same.
No. Looks like Daniel Sedin's going to get a penalty.
Delayed call here. Hackett not realizing it. Now he does. And he heads to the bench with Buffalo poised to go onto the power play for the 5th time in the hockey game. Flynn carries in with 6 attackers on the ice. Here's Ennis to Flynn. Centering pass. Got right by Stafford. And now Henrik Sedin touches the puck. The whistle blows for a holding call against Daniel Sedin.
Willie Desjardins doesn't like that play. Daniel Sedin at center ice. I guess he doesn't like the call more than anything else. Daniel reached in with the left hand, grabbed the stick of Zadorov.
5th Buffalo power play comes at 4:01 of the 3rd period, and 4 of the 5 goals in this hockey game have come with the man advantage. Buffalo 2 for 4. And we'll start from that end of the ice after the early clear by the Canucks.
Canucks doing a really good job in the faceoff circle in this one. Nick Bonino now 11-3.
Sabres, Ennis chops the puck in. Miller had it bounce over his stick. Stewart tries to feed the line. Myers able to hold the puck in around for Girgensons. Pass for Ennis. Now Hamhuis intercepts on the inboards. Burrows did well to take that hot pass from Bonino. And he sends the puck the length of the ice. Minute 20 to go on the penalty to Daniel Sedin. Hands him with a chance to steal. Trying to work his way towards the goal. Now Mathias gets the puck. Sean Mathias ragging and killing some time, and he'll chip the puck and chase after it himself. Now he gets high stick. There'll be a penalty. Stafford, I think, clipped him. And there goes the Buffalo power play with 62 seconds left in the Sedin minor.
John, we talked about how the Canucks penalty killers haven't been as aggressive. Well, Yannick Hansen and Sean Mathias came out, and what'd they do? Kept it in the offensive zone, and Drew Stafford high sticks Mathias, no doubt about that one.
You will find Mathias on the score sheet with an assist on the Horvat goal, the only even strength goal of the game. But it's been another strong and prominent effort for number 27 for Vancouver. They'll play 4-on-4 for just over a minute. Then the Canucks stand to move on to their 4th power play of the game, barring any more penalties. And he's working to hold the puck in a battle with Brian Giunta. So now it's brought out by Torrey Mitchell. Benoit racing down the middle, hoping for a pass, and Hamhuis was able to catch up and intercept. Tanev to Dan Hamhuis. Slows and finds Tanev. High slot. Dishes off. They score. Chris Higgins. Someone threw a hat on the ice. It's been a while.
A friend of Chris Higgins, probably. Dan Hamhuis and Chris Tanev get involved in the play. This is more like the old Dan Hamhuis. Patient with the puck, make sure everybody's on side, and then Chris Tanev with a beautiful play. Matt Hackett has to take Tanev. He's right in the middle. So he passes to the side, and because Chris Higgins a left-hand shot, he's facing the pass. Look at that pass by Hamhuis. Beautiful pass, and then Chris Higgins with the finish on the pass from Tanev.
Higgins has his 7th, his first in 13 games. And Chris Tanev with the first assist as the Canucks retake their 2-goal lead. The goal comes 4-on-4. And there are 22 seconds left in the Daniel Sedin minor before Vancouver stands to move on to an abbreviated power play. And here's Josh Georges moving in. Puck lines up behind the goal. Hamhuis frees it up for Radim Vrbata, who now drops the puck back. Daniel standing in the penalty box. And here he comes onto the ice. Vancouver 2 for 3 on the power play. Gets its 4th opportunity right here. Edler drops for Henrik Sedin. Verbata takes the pass on the right wing. Sends one to the crease, and the puck is off Hackett. Over to Daniel Sedin. Edler to Bonino. Back to Alex Edler. Bonino on the right wing, looking in front. Shoots. Hackett the save, and no rebound for Henrik Sedin. But the Canucks have scored here in the third to go back up by 2. Chris Higgins producing a winner on Score and Win for Safeway and Post Cereal from Telqua. Jason Mulla, congratulations. You won a Blu-ray prize pack from E1.
That's very close to where Dan Hamhuis is from. Here's Hamhuis right there. The goalie has to play the guy in the middle, so Hackett is well out attacking Tanev, and that leaves Chris Higgins with the wide open net.
30 seconds to go on the Vancouver power play. Edler at the blue line. Down the left side, Bonino. Back to Edler. One-timer kicked out by the left pad, and Hackett able to direct the puck right out to center with that save. 10 seconds to go on the Canuck power play. Daniel Sedin back in on the right wing. Henrik takes the pass off the right foot. Now sends one across. Verbata shoots. Stopped by Hackett. Edler centers the puck, picked off and cleared by Weber. Sabres back to full strength. Canucks 2 for 4 with the man advantage. They, being hounded, loses the puck. Delorier moves in. And Miller reaching up with the right arm, able to make the save and hang on to that puck. He's got another goal to work with, does Ryan Miller. The Canucks leading this one 4-2.
Have you ever wanted to design your own goalie mask? Well, now's your chance with the Canucks Design a Mask contest presented by Boston Pizza. You could win a replica goalie mask with your own personal design, plus 2 tickets to a Canucks game. Visit a participating Boston Pizza in the Lower Mainland and start designing.
Favorite mask of all time?
Jerry Cheevers, but I had a nice Birmingham Bulls one. You can Google it and look it up.
I like the Gilles Breton.
Oh,
The cat.
you remember a goalie named
Fierce cat.
Steve Baker played for the Rangers?
Yep.
He had a nice one with the Empire State Building.
Kurt Ridley with the stick and reach. A couple of ways.
Gary Simmons, the Cobra.
Here's a centering pass by Girgensons. Bonino picks up the puck for Vancouver and drops off for Alex Edler. Bonino has that puck go off his skate. He looks back to make sure it's not offside. Play continues, and Tyler Ennis controls. Pass blocked. Bonino gets the puck, dumps it to the near side. He heads to the bench as Girgensons moves up. Pass ahead, and Zadorov tips the puck forward and moves in after him. Steps into Yannick Weber. Burrows calmly flips the puck out, gloved down by Myers. Again, Mathias was lurking there, hoping to rush up ice. Here comes Burrows in. Burrows turning and shooting, and to his knees. Hackett able to make the save. Puck gets by Spiza and out to center. Picked up by Torrey Mitchell. Fakes the pass back and now dumps the puck in. Miller around the boards. Mitchell waiting. Puck onto the stick of Weber. Gets it through to Higgins. And the Canucks' latest goal scorer feeds back to Yannick Weber, who risks a long one in over top of the goal. Matt Molson. Cassian did a flyby. Molson able to move the puck ahead. Corrado dumps it back in. Kennins on the forecheck. Georges to the puck first. Now the Sabres move it out with Delorier, finding Tyler Myers. He dumps the puck in from center. Here's Dan Hamhuis ahead to Ronalds Kennins. Cross corner dump. Mike Weber back. Glancing blow from Cassian. Horvat trying to bring the puck to the front. And now Weber controls behind his own net. Edler breaks that one up, and here comes Bo Horvat down the left side. Horvat around the net. Weber had him lined up. Wound up with the puck. Kennins lets it slide back to Tanev. Left point Edler. Tanev again to Ronalds Kennins. Neat little pass to Horvat. Centers. Cassian through the crease. Wide on the far side. Tanev holds the puck in. Here's Cassian again. Wrist shot goes off Weber and wide. Canucks will start to change while controlling the puck in the Buffalo zone. Kassian misses the pass, but Henrik Sedin's onto the ice. Henrik works his way to the corner, sends one across to Daniel Sedin. Blue line feed, Edler over top of the goal. Tanev moves down to get the puck, and now the Canucks have changed all three forwards while controlling the Buffalo zone. Daniel Sedin leaves for Henrik Sedin. Out the near side, Henrik back to Spiza. Here's Tanev to Lukas Spiza. Back to Tanev. They'll continue to play catch. Henrik Sedin joins the fun. Leaves for Daniel. Back to Tanev. Spiza with a drive. That deflected wide. Rebound through the crease and out the near side off the stick of Radim Bravada. John's going to start humming soon.
Yes.
As they send it down on Miller.
Right on that. Imagine those guys, there would have been a timeout call there.
Sweet Georgia Brown was on your mind, I know it. Canucks unable to add to their lead. It's still 4-2, just under 9 minutes left in the third period. Canucks out shooting Buffalo 30-18. Here's Stewart with a sharp angle bid. Miller held that out. Canucks break back. Yannick Weber leading the way. Down the left wing. Wrist shot off a stick. Rebound in front. Higgins had his stick lifted. A nice defensive play there, I think, by Tyler Ennis. Canucks still have the puck. Higgins gets it back to Burroughs. Left point. Dan Hamhuis wrists one towards the goal, and Hackett got his blocker on that one. Here's Lyndon Vay. Pass picked up, and Stewart carries to center for Buffalo. Stripped of the puck by Vay. Higgins is back in, down the left wing, shoots in off the stick of Ristolainen, and up over the glass for a whistle. Higgins comes back at Ristolainen after the late hit. And the linesmen get in there, separate those two. After some more pressure from the Canucks, they've got a goal from Higgins, and a chance there that resulted in a few words and a couple of shoves.
Great Canadian Oil Change. Family owned and operated. Superb customer service and new vehicle warranty approved products, including Valvoline Premium Oils. Great Canadian Oil Change. Over 60 locations across Canada.
Watch your Sportsnet channels live 24/7 from anywhere on any device. Visit sportsnet.ca/now or download the Sportsnet Now app. 4-2 Canucks. Here's a centering pass. Mathias setting up Bonino, who stopped by Hackett. Couldn't cover. And Mathias has the puck. Centers. Hansen stopped by Hackett. Andrews holds the puck in. Mathias trying to tip that one on goal. You're going to have trouble picking stars tonight.
Yes, yes.
Might need 4. Here's Mathias. Down the left side. Slap shot. He ripped it off the corner glass, and the puck ricochets into the Buffalo bench, at least into the seats beside the bench for a whistle.
Matt Hackett's first game since last spring, and he's been busy. The Buffalo Sabres defensively give up lots of chances. Look at that save. Left foot out, get back, make another one. Shots are 34-18. Sabres are averaging just over 20 shots a game, 4.
Canucks with a face-up. Tanev at the right point. Wrist shot attempt, loose in front. Horvat now a shot by Kennins, and that hit a body and wound up in the corner. Here's Horvat to the line. Tanev fakes the pass to Edler, plays the puck in behind the goal. Sabres played last night in Edmonton, and looking like maybe they run out of steam a little bit. Sabres ice the puck here. There'll be a face-off in their zone, and we'll check in with Murph.
John, shop at Safeway today. Watch future Sportsnet telecasts, and you could win an all-inclusive trip for 2 to a Grand Bahia Prince Bay Resort, courtesy of redtag.ca, where Canada shops for great travel deals.
Sabres are on a 5-game trip, but it's a 5-game trip where it was before the All-Star break, and then they go home, and then they go to Montreal.
Play there on Tuesday. Canucks back at it Sunday against Minnesota. Again, a noon start if you haven't heard. Moved up half an hour to accommodate the Super Bowl. Daniel Sedin spinning on Rasmus Ristolainen. Bravada gets the puck behind the goal. Tried to work it to Henrik Sedin, who stumbled. Puck ricochets to Spiza. Lots of room. Lets it go. Blocks. Weber after the puck on the far side. And the Sabres intercept with Brian Flynn skating through center. In over the Vancouver line, trying to get one across. Henrik Sedin intercepts. And he's going to try to lead Daniel here into the Buffalo zone. No icing. Myers, a hard hit on Daniel. Gets up all right after going awkwardly into the corner boards. Stewart, pass in front, knocked away by Verbata. Myers gets the puck. Here's Girgensons cutting him with a shot, and he missed by a wide margin. Higgins battling for the puck. Vey over to help out. Girgensons for Buffalo. And dug free by Verbata. 6 minutes to go in the third. Here's Dan Hamhuis to Chris Higgins. Burrows going to the net. Pass never got through as Josh Georges got in front of him. Penalty coming up to Vancouver. And as the Canucks get the puck, the hooking call signal. And Buffalo back to the power play when we return to Rogers Arena in Vancouver.
Canucks Hockey. Brought to you by Subway. Enter for your chance to win the Subway road trip of a lifetime. Subway, eat fresh.
Hooking call on Lyndon Vey, and again it's in the offensive zone. Reaching from behind, underneath the arm.
Girgensons made sure the stick stayed there. And Vey off. Buffalo, 6th power play, 2 for 5.
You thought there was a little chicken wing involved in that one?
Smart play.
Is that what you'll be having at the Super Bowl party on Sunday? A few chicken wings? See, this is a more aggressive penalty kill, and you can see the Canucks lining up at the blue line and not letting the Sabres cruise in.
35 seconds gone in the minor penalty to Lyndon Vey. So we're 5 minutes left, third period. Sabres chance to make it interesting if they can cash in on this power play. Miller caught out, scrambles back as Ennis gets the puck to the line. Zadorov. Tyler Ennis with room, he shoots. Stopped by Miller, loose puck, Stewart jamming away. Still down is Miller. And Hansen able to poke the puck free. Spiza gets it off the glass and into the bench. And the face-off will stay in the Vancouver zone.
Again, it's Chris Stewart in front, John. He's such a big guy. He weighs about 230. And he gets planted in front. And he's hard to move. And you can see he's with Dan Hamhuis. Hamhuis can't handle him. A rebound's right there. And Stewart's digging away at it. Jannik Hansen, fortunately for the Canucks, was the first one to get to it.
Face-off actually came outside the line. Must have deflected out. And here's Higgins in short-handed. Bonino with a shot, and reaching out was Hackett to grab that one. Keeps play moving, and here comes Brian Gionta with a pass to Drew Stafford. Stafford over the Vancouver line. Molson takes the pass. Wide open is Ristolainen. Takes the shot, and sprawling was Bonino to break it up. Higgins, good work to tie up his man along the boards, but the Canucks can't get the puck out. Mazeros walks the line. Sends one in deep. Nat Molson. Under 20 seconds to go in the Buffalo power play. Gionta checked in the corner, and Bonino able to clear the zone. That should do it with 5 seconds to go in the Vey penalty. Buffalo now 2 for 6 with a man advantage, still trailing 4-2. Torrey Mitchell passes back. Ristolainen dumps one forward. Corrado after the puck in the corner. 2 Sabres are on him. But Hamhuis winds up with the puck. Hooks one ahead to Verbata. Now it's tipped neatly by Daniel Sedin to Henrik. Henrik back to Daniel. Hamhuis, the trailer, wanted the pass. Never came, and Georges tips the puck around the end boards. Henrik Sedin checks Torrey Mitchell. Centering pass out of the reach of Radim Verbata. Verbata gets to the loose puck, however. Ryan Flynn made no attempt to go after it. The Canucks have it. Henrik stick handling in traffic. Back to Weber. Pass to Chris Higgins. Leads for Verbata. To the blue line. Long shot by Spiza. Stopped by Hackett, who hangs on for the whistle. Well, Sportsnet Central coming up right after this game, and with a preview, here's our friend Ben Ennis.
Hey guys, coming up after the game, we got full post-game coverage of this game. Plus, we'll look around the rest of the games around the NHL. 4 other ones. We've got highlights coming up. That's after the final whistle. Sportsnet Central.
Tyler wanted to make sure we said hi to Uncle Ben. And now a timeout appears to have been called.
Canucks are calling the timeout.
So a little extra time here to rest up. Allow us to tell you about our next telecast. We've been letting you know about the change in the start time as the Canucks host the Minnesota Wild on Sunday. The puck drops at noon here at Rogers Arena on Sportsnet Pacific as well. And then your chance to head to wherever you are after that game to check out the Super Bowl.
Ted Nolan talking to his team, and you can bet the goaltender will probably be pulled if the Sabres can get it in the offensive zone.
Hackett has stopped 32 of 36. Canucks with 13 shots here in the third to just 3 for Buffalo. And Nick Bonino having an excellent night on the faceoff, but loses that one to Girgensons. Puck sent down the ice. No icing. Hackett shading out of the goal, but stays in net for now. As the Sabres work to come up with the puck, but Edler gets it to Mathias. Checked by Mazeros. Now a chance for Hansen to clear. Can't do it. Another opportunity. Shovels the puck across. And Bonino takes control for Vancouver. Bonino flips the puck down into the Buffalo zone. Mazeros back to collect. Ahead to center to Tyler Ennis. Here's Lyndon Vay. Spiza drives a long one in on Hackett, who blockers that one to the side. Myers ahead for Stafford, who drops the puck back to Myers in the Buffalo zone. 2 minutes to go. Sabres down by 2. Flynn at center. Risks the puck in. And Hackett looking to the bench. Still no signal from Coach Ted Nolan. Puck still in the Vancouver zone. Myers moves down from the right corner. In deep for Stafford. Drew Stafford working his way out of the corner. Turning on Lucas Spiza. There goes the goalie to the bench. As the Sabres go with the 6th attacker, and Miller makes a save in tight. Off to Laurier. Now Stafford on the right side. Centers. Oh, what a stop by Miller. Moving to his right. And he robbed Brian Flynn to keep the Canucks up by 2. Sabres still with the puck. Flynn knocks it down with a high stick. Canucks are next to touch, so play goes on. Burrows takes a crack at the empty goal, sliding it towards the net. Off the outside of the post. And that'll be icing. As Alex Burrows weighed the risks. Up by 2 and just missed.
Quite have the good intern on it. Ryan Miller, right pad, makes the save. Left pad, makes the save. Slides across, back to his feet, slides across. Left pad, drag. Able to stop that one.
Sabres continue on with the net empty. Puck comes to Spiza. He rings it around. No icing on this one. They say Zadorov had a play on the puck, and now we're into the final minute of the third period. Ennis up to center. Flips the puck in. Miller to the side for Edler. Miller got clipped there. I think Ennis cruising through. Might have upended him. Tanev gets the puck. Comes back to him. Here's Vrbata. Empty net. Scores. Radim Vrbata with the 5th Canuck goal. And it's Vancouver leading by 3.
Nice play by Chris Tanev just to keep this one not being an icing. Right up the middle to Vrbata. Off his skate. That's great talent of Radim Vrbata offensively. Able to take that pass off his skate back to his stick.
And another winner on Score and Win for Safeway and Post Cereal from North Vancouver, Don Craigie. You've won a Hoover Air cordless vacuum. Radim Vrbata with goal number 19. Tanev assisting on both third period tallies for Vancouver. Sabres in after the puck. That should be a hand pass, and it is, as it was gloved towards Ristolainen, and that'll bring the face-off out with 17 seconds to go in the hockey game.
John, you look at this Sabres team, and Ristolainen and Zadorov, and they've got some Mark Messick. They've got some good young defensemen, big, good young defensemen. They just have to mature. They have to grow as a team up front. Tim Murray is going to change, I think, this team. He's got 8 or 9 guys. Contracts expire at the end of this year.
Final few seconds will come off the clock. And this one into the books. Ryan Miller beats his former team. Nick Bonino winds up with the winning goal on a second period power play. Chris Higgins a goal and an assist as he gets off the schneid. And in his first ever game against the Buffalo Sabres, Ryan Miller makes 20 saves in a 5-2 Vancouver win.
Well, beat the teams you're supposed to and correct some of the mistakes you've had. The power play was 2 for 28 coming into this game. They cashed in a couple of times, and that long goal drought, 5 big ones in this game.
John, your 3 stars.
Well, my 3 stars in this one, I looked at the game and I thought Nick Bonino, what a great game he had. Face-offs 13-20. Chris Higgins with a goal and an assist. And Chris Stewart, by far the best of the Buffalo Sabres.
Canucks even through 2 games of this 6-game homestand. Ryan Miller likely had some butterflies. So did that man. Ronald Kennan's playing his first NHL game, but the Canucks finally broke through with a goal on home ice, and then they added 4 more. Ryan Miller victorious in his game against the Sabres. And the Canucks now rest up before taking on Minnesota on Sunday. 5-2 Canucks the final. Sportsnet Central is next. Here's Ben Ennis.